to be educated, but I'm so frustrated.
Hey, tonight we're going to tie a few things together. We've already talked about Earl Palmer on drums and the word funk, and Professor Longhair and the things that he did out of New Orleans. I want to give you another component of this story. We want to talk a little bit about Allen Toussaint. There have been a few people who've asked me over the last couple of weeks and months, and we're going to get in that story tonight. What I need you to do is make sure you watch and hang around to the bottom. This is going to be a good one right here.
Southern night, have you ever felt the...
Yeah, man, it's time for one of the big boys of NOLA. Because to understand the rhythm of the Crescent City, you have to understand the man who actually drew the blueprints. Let us get into the life and times of the one and only Mr. Allen Toussaint. Now, to really understand why Allen mattered, you have to look at the ground he walked on. He was born January 14th, 1938, in a shotgun house, a long, narrow New Orleans-style home where the rooms line up one behind the other and the front and back doors sit straight across from each other, and it was in the Gert Town, a working-class neighborhood of New Orleans, Louisiana, named after Gert H. Toussaint. His father, Clarence, worked the railroad but played the trumpet, and his mother, Naomi, was a pianist and a legendary hostess who kept the kitchen open for every musician in the neighborhood. Everybody passed through that house at some point, and the sounds of New Orleans R&B floated through the air like second-line brass on a Sunday afternoon. Young Allen sat at that piano and soaked up everything from classical music to the boogie-woogie of Ray Charles and the rolling, syncopated genius of Professor Longhair, who Allen later called the Bach of Rock. What made Longhair special was the way he blended Caribbean rhythm with blues and jazz, and that rhythmic DNA would become a permanent part of Allen Toussaint's musical language. By the time he was 13, Allen was already playing dances with his first band, the Flamingos, and sneaking into the legendary Dewdrop Inn to watch the masters work. The Dewdrop was more than just a nightclub. It was one of the most important stops on the Chitlin circuit, and everyone from James Brown to Little Richard passed through those doors. Allen would sit quietly, watching the band leaders, studying how songs were built and how grooves were controlled. He was a student of the groove, and his big break came in 1955 when he filled in for Huey Piano Smith at a gig in Alabama. That led to him playing bass and piano parts for Dave Bartholomew and working around the legendary New Orleans recording sessions that powered the early rock and roll era. People around the studio quickly noticed something about Allen. He could play the rolling triplet piano style that defined New Orleans rhythm and blues, the same kind of rhythmic bounce that made the records of Fats Domino so infectious. But Allen was not just a player, he was a creator, and very soon he started showing the world just how dangerous his pen could be. In the early 1960s, he became the mastermind behind Minute Records and Instant Records, where he wrote, produced, and arranged a string of hits that helped push New Orleans R&B onto the national charts. Allen was often writing, arranging, producing, and directing musicians all in the same session, quietly shaping the sound of the city from behind the piano bench. Even when his songs became hits, he often used his mother's name, Naomi Neville, as a pseudonym on his songwriting credits. It was not about hiding, it was about humility. Allen Toussaint was never chasing the spotlight. For him, the music itself was the reward. And he started that run with this classic hit that everyone still knows today.
The worst person I know.
Now, that was Ernie K-Doe singing, but that was all Allen Toussaint in the writing and the pocket. He was only 21 years old when he wrote that, and even though he was not married yet, he knew exactly how to tap into a universal joke to make a #1 record. But the hits did not stop there. In fact, Allen's songwriting pen started reaching far beyond New Orleans. One of the songs he wrote during that era was called Fortune Teller.
Went to a fortune teller, had my fortune read.
It became a favorite among young British rock bands, and groups like the Rolling Stones and The Who later recorded their own versions. That meant a songwriter sitting in New Orleans, Louisiana, was quietly influencing the sound of rock music in London, England during the explosive years of the British invasion. During a 2-year stint in the Army, Allen wrote a tune called Whipped Cream that later became a massive hit for Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Yeah, man, if you're old school enough, you know that eventually became the theme to the dating game show. Then Allen returned to New Orleans and teamed up with one of his greatest musical partners, Dorsey. Toussaint once said that Lee's voice sounded like a smile to him, and together they created some of the most joyful records of the 1960s.
Working in a coal mine, going down, 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 working in a coal.
They changed the game with this funky number right here. That song hit the top 10 in 1966, and the funny thing is, Alan had never even been inside a coal mine. He simply imagined the rhythm of the work and turned it into a groove. Alan could hear rhythm in everyday life and translate it into music that people could feel instantly. Alan was also writing songs that carried deeper social meaning.
I know darn well we can work it out. Oh yes we can, I know we can, yes we can.
The song would later become a major hit for the Pointer Sisters in 1973 and eventually grow into a cultural anthem about unity, empowerment, and progress. As the 1970s rolled in, Alan moved into his true glory years. He and his business partner Marshall Sehorn built Toussaint Studios in the Gentilly neighborhood of New Orleans. It was one of the most advanced recording facilities in the South at the time, and very quickly it became a creative headquarters for the sound of the city. Inside those walls, Alan produced and arranged records for artists like the Meters, Dr. John, LaBelle, and many others who were helping shape the gritty, funky rhythm that New Orleans would become famous for. One of the biggest records connected to his arranging work during that era was the explosive disco-funk anthem Lady Marmalade, recorded by LaBelle. The song became a #1 hit and a global sensation, proving once again that Toussaint's touch could reach far beyond Louisiana. Alan was a master of the studio, a man known for quiet elegance and absolute musical precision. People who worked with him often described him as calm, dignified, and completely focused. Alan Toussaint was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998 as a non-performer, honoring his massive influence as a songwriter, producer, and arranger. Alan always commanded immediate respect, and television writer David Simon, who created the show Treme, once recalled a moment when director Jim McKay tried to jump in, count down Alan's band like he was running a television orchestra. And one, and two. The band didn't respond at all. They just looked at Alan, who calmly said to Jim, "Some sheep only follow one shepherd," before turning around and starting the music himself. That tells a lot about Toussaint's presence. In the middle of all that success, Alan finally began recording more of his own music as a performer. One of his most personal and atmospheric compositions captured memories of childhood nights in Louisiana under glowing country skies.
Southern night, have you ever felt?
That song was a masterpiece of memory and mood. Most people, however, know the upbeat version that Glenn Campbell turned into a #1 hit in 1977. Alan's life was full of music, but like many artists, it also carried personal struggles. His 2 marriages ended in divorce, and even though he had written songs known around the world, he remained a man who preferred the quiet control booth to the bright lights of the stage. For decades, he had shaped the careers of other performers while keeping his own voice in the background. Then everything changed on August 29, 2005. That was the day Hurricane Katrina tore through New Orleans. Alan Toussaint's home and his beloved Toussaint Studios were flooded under 5 feet of water. Instruments, tapes, history, memories, decades of musical creativity were suddenly destroyed. The studio that had helped define the sound of New Orleans rhythm and blues was gone. Alan had to leave the city he loved and relocate to New York City. But in typical Toussaint fashion, he faced the tragedy with grace and humor. He later joked that Hurricane Katrina had become his booking agent, because it forced him to step out front and finally perform full-time. And that is exactly what happened. In his late 60s and 70s, Alan Toussaint suddenly became a touring artist around the world, performing his own catalog on stage with elegance and charm. Audiences who had spent decades hearing his songs finally got to see the man behind the music. One of the most meaningful chapters of that late career came when he collaborated with singer-songwriter Elvis Costello. Together they recorded an album in New Orleans called The River in Reverse, one of the first major recording projects completed in the city after Hurricane Katrina. The album became a musical symbol that New Orleans was still alive and still creating. During those final years, Alan also received some of the highest honors in American arts. President Barack Obama presented him with the National Medal of Arts, recognizing his lifetime contribution to music and culture. Wherever he performed, he carried himself with the same quiet style people had always admired. Perfectly tailored suits, carefully chosen colors, and his signature fisherman sandals that became part of his unmistakable stage presence. But unfortunately, the music had to come to an end. On November 10, 2015, after delivering a beautiful, sold-out performance in Madrid, Spain, Mr. Alan Toussaint returned to his hotel room and suffered a heart attack. He passed away that night at the age of 77. The world lost a gentle soul, a generous mentor, and one of the finest composers American music has ever produced. But his legacy is still alive and growing. In New Orleans, Robert E. Lee Boulevard was officially renamed Alan Toussaint Boulevard in 2022, a permanent tribute to the man who helped define the sound of the city. And in early 2025, the United States Postal Service honored him with a Black Heritage commemorative stamp, placing his image among the most influential figures in American history. Alan Toussaint was a musician who believed in elegance, precision, and soul. He could sit at a piano, hear the right note in his mind, and place it in exactly the right moment without ever raising his voice or demanding attention. He simply let the music speak. And as long as there is a piano somewhere in New Orleans, Louisiana, the spirit of Mr. Alan Toussaint will always be there, quietly guiding the keys. Yeah, man, that's how it goes. Alan Toussaint is a big component of that New Orleans stuff over on that west side of America, or the West Coast, or whatever you want to call it. They did a whole lot, man, to influence funk. It's kind of where some of the roots came from. Hey, James Brown didn't do everything. Neither did Dyke Christian. Neither did a whole bunch of other people do what they claim they did. Hey, funk is one of those type of things. It's kind of hard to explain where it came from, but it mostly came from the Black community back in the day. That's the only thing you can say for definite. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that on the Music Mindset channel. Make sure you like, comment, and share, and all that type of stuff. And I'm going to see you guys next time on the Music Mindset channel. Thanks.